living structure. And the reason we do that and the reason we make that a priority is because whether you have a calendar, a Google Calendar, or you have a time management system, or you set alarms or reminders, or you've got apps or whatever you use, it's so important to live intentionally. You're going to increase your chances of self-care and self-love and self-compassion and feeling better and feeling confident if you have some sort of certainty, and it's certainty that you can create because it's your schedule. We've talked about having a social gathering or a social interaction diet where you tell yourself, okay, I'm really focusing on self-care. I'm going to make this the year that I just love myself and really give myself the attention that I've wanted from myself. Well, then you're going to have to look at your calendar and conscientiously make the decision to limit how many things you're going to commit to. And that will in turn give you the space and the time management to do the thing you've always wanted, to write that book, to lose that weight, to take those salsa dancing lessons. And 99.9% of the time, we've over-obligated ourselves because we can't say no. Again, that's episode 5. Check it out. It's all about it. There's a game that you can play if saying no is hard for you. But saying no is so self-care. It's such great self-care. It's so important. And another reason that you're coming up with these excuses is the FOMO. Now, and we've talked about FOMO before. We've also talked about JOMO, the joy of missing out. So if FOMO is the fear of missing out, you're afraid you're going to miss out on all the fun, so you overcommit all the time. JOMO is this concept of the joy of missing out, reveling in the I'm taking a turn off. I'm sitting this one out. And in place of that, you really develop that self-love, that self-compassion. Okay, so we've got our list of what excuses we use all the time, and we've dug into why we crap them out. And now what we're going to turn our attention to is, what do we do when self-care becomes our excuse, or we've recognized it now that we're using self-care as an excuse not to follow through? Well, that's easy. Number one, the first thing that you can do if you recognize yourself throwing up excuses and not following through, the first thing you need to do is self-care. Now, I know this sounds like a super simple, overly obvious statement, but the truth is the most simplest answers are always correct. And right now, what you need more than anything is you need to make self-care a priority. And what that looks like exactly is that you have to do a tiny bit of work loving on yourself, thinking better thoughts about yourself, cutting out the negative self-talk. You've got to start getting creative and really making self-care the priority. And if that's really hard for you, if you can't seem to do that, you know what? Full stop with the calendar. It's triage time, right? Stop the bleeding. If you find yourself slipping into a depressive phase, if you feel like you're lost and you don't know who you are, it's time to stop everything and start at the very basics. And that is drinking water, getting sleep, having a positive self-talk, and really taking the time to do these little ideas. Because you've got to do whatever it takes to flip that script on yourself. If self-care has eluded you for a long time and you are constantly the caregiver to others, you can reap the benefits and restore your mental health quicker with a little bit of self-compassion and saying no. So it's time to full stop. And in that vein, what we're trying to do is we're trying to break that addiction of doing everything at the last minute or doing things out of obligation. Because when you force yourself to follow through and you don't really want to, you develop this pattern, right? Your brain goes, wait a minute, I don't want to do this thing. I want to lounge on the couch all day. Well, if you say no to overburdening yourself and overextending yourself and you choose self-care, there's a lot more opportunities to give from an open and full heart, which is a better way to give. And it's okay to bring it up. If somebody is using excuses and all the time dropping out on you, it is an act of self-care for you to call that out. Now, nobody wants to start drama. Nobody wants to be the police when it comes to taking care of ourselves. But it is okay to stand up for yourself and say, hey, I'm your friend. I give you X amount of respect. I deserve it back. I need you to follow through. And you've got to practice saying no to the next obligation that comes your way, even if you really want to help. So I want us to practice that. That's my lasting tip for today is I want you to practice saying no to the next obligation that comes up. Whatever it is, even if you want to help, even if you're able to help, I don't care. We're practicing this week. So in that same vein, I want to leave you with a quote. It's I posted it on my Instagram. You can hit me up at Self-Care is Sexy at IG, at Self-Care is Sexy on IG. And it's a quote by Nicholas Sparks. And he says, you can't live your life for other people. You've got to do what's right for you, even if it hurts some people that you love. And I love that quote. I love it. I'm going to read it again. You can't live your life for other people. You've got to do what's right for you, even if it hurts some people you love. And this is such an important concept that I want to leave you with today. It is okay to say no. It is okay to choose you. It is not okay to commit to something and not follow through and use self-care as the excuse. And once you get good at and really solid with loving yourself, you won't need to come up with excuses anymore. And if that rare moment happens that you've obligated yourself to something you can't follow through on, people will know that is a rare exception and it's not who you are. That you do what you say what you do, you mean what you say, you always follow through. All right, that's it for this week, friends. Thank you for joining me. If you have a story you'd like to share and you want to be on the show, please email me. It's Chris, K-R-I-S, at selfcareissexy.com. Okay, we've got some really great content coming your way, so stay tuned. And remember that self-care is sexy. We're giving you permission to put yourself first.